Hello, everyone. It's Monday, April 4th. I don't know why I'm singing. I'm gonna hit this. I don't know why we were getting all newsified there, but I'm glad that we're back. It's JPNN time, y'all. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Undead Labs, you might know for being the creators and devs behind State of Decay. You know, that studio that Xbox owns. Well, they're currently facing allegations of mismanagement, burnout, and misogyny, and it struggled to live up to the promise of being the welcoming, diverse, and inclusive Xbox First Studio that it does tout itself as. Kotaku has interviewed 12 current and former employees for this article they posted, all of which have requested anonymity because they feared sharing their concerns publicly would doom their careers in the video game industry. One former developer put, "We were afraid that they would come in and change our culture, but our collapse came from within, and we could have used Microsoft's help. The culture the studio had up until recently was not the most hospitable for anyone that was not a white cishet man," said one current developer. "It's improved in the last 6 months or so, but the studio hired a lot of diverse talent that it did not adequately support in the past." Microsoft provided only a series of statistics with brief background comments in the following statement on behalf of the head of the Xbox Game Studios, Matt Booty. We got a Booty quote. He says, "Every studio at Xbox is given the resources and guide." This is very PR, by the way, just to throw it out there. "Every studio at Xbox is given the resources and guidance they need to grow in both capability and culture. What that support looks like will vary by studio, but each has direct connection with Microsoft HR resources outside of what they have on their team, and the ability to work with other studios and partners teams to leverage their expertise. Additionally, all Microsoft employees, including our studio teams, are required to regularly complete our standards of business conduct training, which covers topics like harassment, supplier code of conduct, and more. Over the last few years, Undead Labs has seen a number of positive changes, and we are confident in the direction the team is taking State of Decay 3, one of our most ambitious open world games in development." Or, for everyone else, sounds like that Peanut speech. Womp 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 womp. Womp womp womp. Womp womp womp. Womp womp. Womp womp. Womp 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 womp. Womp womp womp. But they have to put one of those statements out. That's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. It's what happens when these things happen. It's how it goes. Hopefully everything gets changed or is in the process of changing over there at Undead Labs. Speaking of sexual harassment allegations, let's talk about Activision Blizzard. 4 U.S. senators have sent a letter. I never thought I could use that as. You got to take transitions when you can, chat. 4 U.S. senators have sent a letter to the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, pressuring it to investigate Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The Wall Street Journal reported that the latter, which is signed by Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker, and Sheldon Whitehouse, have pressured FTC Chairwoman Lina Khan to look into whether the deal will worsen the slew of misconduct lawsuits that Activision is currently facing. A quote from the letter says, "We are deeply concerned about consolidation in the tech industry and its impact on workers." It went on to note that the deal in its current form allows Activision CEO Bobby Kotick to stay on the firm until it closes in 2023, and highlighted that the executive is in line for a huge payout upon his departure from the role. The letter goes on and says, "This lack of accountability, despite shareholders, employees, and the public calling for Kotick to be held responsible for the culture he created, would be an unacceptable result of the proposed Microsoft acquisition." trying to shut the fuck up, Miss Warren, Mr. Bernie Sanders. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Where, like, of all the things where you want to stick your head in, really? Like, really? If anything, Microsoft getting acquisition of Activision Blizzard should hopefully help us, and should hopefully help everyone there. I don't know. My take on senators doing things like this usually come from some sort of money being put into play and exchanging hands to do something like this. So that's more of an interesting story than them coming out and say this shit. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing to see them come out and do that. So whatever, I guess. We'll see what happens. I still think the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal is going to go through. But hey, Warren and Sanders and Cory Booker, at least they got their name attached to it somewhat. Yeah, real weird. Real weird to see that. Roblox is out there siding with Apple in the Apple versus Epic court cases during the appeal process following last year's court case with Fortnite maker Epic. According to Reuters, Roblox praised the iOS platform and its closed ecosystem, writing in a legal filing, quote, Apple's process for review and approval of apps available on the App Store enhances safety and security and provides those apps greater legitimacy in the eyes of users. Roblox was used as a key example in the dispute between Apple and Epic when it came down to the availability of apps that enables you to purchase other games, seemingly violating Apple's rules against operating other stores on the iOS. The argument stemmed from Epic's ambition to potentially open a game store on iOS, which Apple did not allow. When asked why Roblox was allowed, Apple described the user-created games available as, quote, experiences rather than games. Around the same time, Roblox changed any, quote, games references to, quote, experiences on its website and began positioning itself as a metaverse company. That earns one from me. Next story. PlayStation Jim Ryan has promised that more acquisitions are planned in a rare podcast appearance. This motherfucker went on the PlayStation blogcast. Okay. Quote, we're in a really good place with PlayStation Studios and have been for the past few years. The critical success and the commercial success of the games that we've been making that has given us permission to invest heavily in content creation. He added, we're growing our studios organically and we're growing through acquisition. We acquired 5 studios during the course of 2021. We're in discussions with Bungie and we have more planned. This is getting us into a virtuous cycle where success begets success. He really loves that phrase, virtuous cycle. He loves it. That's like the 7th time I've heard him say that. Wild. He also went on to mention that Sony is working with over 200 partners to put their content into the revamped PlayStation Plus. Well, maybe they should have waited to announce that shit to include those 200 partners instead of what we got in last week's announcement of PlayStation Plus. Speaking of Sony Interactive Entertainment, they could be working on a PlayStation 3 emulation to come to the PS5 without the requirement to stream them over the internet. According to VentureBeat and Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb, the service could eventually receive PS3 emulation similar to the other retro systems it's set to support. He goes on to say, since talking about this all week, I've looked, I've asked, and it sounds like Sony might be working on emulation for PS3 on PS5. It may take some time. I wish they would come out and tell us that. Tell us that you care about this stuff, because this is what was missing from PS Plus announcement. To me, it seemed like they didn't care about any of it. They just slapped it together and put a new name on it and then sold it. He's not wrong. I kind of agree with him on that. In the world of analytics, Sensor Tower is saying that the first quarter of 2022 is seeing a 7% decrease compared to last year in the world of mobile games, with a very small, minuscule amount of $21 billion. I mean, that's going to happen, right? People are going out. The world's opening up a little bit more. I get it. People are looking at their phones less and, out and about. In terms of the revenue charts and the top earners, Honor of Kings topped the revenue charts with $735 million in the quarter. PUBG Mobile, $643 million. And coming in third place, a small little game by the name of Genshin Impact with $551 million. A lot of money. A lot of money. You know what's not making money? Halo. Let's talk about it. Halo Infinite, to be precise. And I'm sure it's fine. That's just a hot take. They had their community director, Sketch, who posted in a reply for a Reddit user, who said they wish 343 Industries would acknowledge that there have been issues that are delaying progress on new features for the game. Jared responded and said, "There are indeed a lot of challenges and constraints. We're certainly not happy to be unable to meet player and community expectations. It's a difficult situation that's going to take the team time to work through. Right now, the focus is on Season 2, and we'll have more to share on that in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, a lot of production planning, costing, planning, hiring, etc. Also, is all happening, which doesn't really lead to detailed regular updates. We understand the community is simply out of patience and, frankly, I think understandably tired of words. We just need some time for the team to get the details sorted, and then we can certainly share as much as we can." As far as like PR statements go, that one's not, not the worst. I feel like that was like a human talking to a human for the most part, which is kind of cool to see. Wargaming, you might know, as the people behind such titles as World of Warships and World of Tanks, has decided that they're stopping business in Russia and Belarus. This will satisfy the viewer earlier, who was very upset we were covering League instead of talking about the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia. They will be leaving both countries. Part of the announcements reads, effective March 31st, the company transferred its live games business in Russia and Belarus to local management of Lesta Studio that is no longer affiliated with Wargaming. The company will not profit from this process either today or going forward. Much to the contrary, we expect to suffer substantial losses as a direct result of this decision. We'll be completing the operational transition with all due speed while remaining in full compliance with all laws and ensuring the ongoing safety and support of our employees. During the transition period, the live products will remain available in Russia and Belarus and will be operated by the new owner. The reason this is a big deal is World of Tanks, I want to say, I don't have the actual statistic, but we could just say a shit ton of their player base is from Russia and Belarus. So this is actually a pretty big economical hit. And while you could very easily, just like I did earlier before we started recording, say this might be a little bit late in the process, it's still a pretty big deal, regardless of when this happens. So good on them for moving forward with that and, getting out of Russia and Belarus. Speaking of Ukraine, the Fortnite humanitarian relief efforts have raised a total of $144 million. They put out a tweet and said, "Our deepest thanks to everyone who joined us in supporting humanitarian relief efforts for people affected by the war in Ukraine. Together with Fortnite community and Xbox, we have raised $144 million USD for direct relief, UNICEF World Food Program, the UN Refugee Alliance, and the World Central Kitchen." A lot of money. A lot of money. Good job. Good job, Epic. And, good job to the Fortnite community and Xbox for that. Moving along to more games-centric news. The big news this morning, kind of out of nowhere, Devolver Digital has announced a new Monkey Island game coming this year. Before you get your cynicism in here, it's actually going to be working with Ron Gilbert as well, who is the game designer and creator of the original Monkey Island. Ron Gilbert stopped working on Monkey Island after the second game, LeChuck's Revenge, in 1991. This will make it 31 years for the sequel to come out. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Also, as my editor is noting here, I don't necessarily have the take on this, as I don't play this. So do me a huge favor. Make sure you go ask Ko if he's heard about this, or if you are going to be watching his stream at any point in the future. Please ask him if he knows. Someone, please tell Ko. He has to know immediately. Twitter.com/KoCarnage. You can get at him at his email as well. Let him know. Okay? Jeez. Someone, please tell him. Moving along. PUBG has announced a collaboration with Square Enix, in particular the Nier Games IP. Looks like PUBG's doing or trying to attempt what Fortnite has done. The announcement on Twitter is unexpected characters have arrived on the battleground to grab the chicken dinner. Survive with the Nier squad now. I'm curious, is there's 2B, and I'm watching this trailer. Huh. Okay, 2B is in there. 2B's running. Okay. All I wanted to see is 2B running around with a frying pan. Great. What's the cost on that? It doesn't say. It just says now available. Weird. Weird. They're trying to get on that that Fortnite craze of getting literally every IP possible in your game. And starting with Nier. We'll see where it goes from there. The Steam top sellers for this past week. Shocker, shocker. Elden Ring sitting at number 1. The Steam Deck coming in at number 2. Lego Star Wars coming in at number 3 with the Skywalker Saga. And then 4 is once again the Index, which is their VR kit. And number 5 is Dread Hunger. PlayStation Now games for April include Outer Wilds, WRC 10, the World Rally Championship, Journey to the Savage Planet, and Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood. Speaking of Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, the review embargo has been lifted, currently sitting at an 82 right now on OpenCritic, with 39 critics counting in. The Metacritic at an 85 on the PS5 version as well. IGN gives it an 8, Shack News a 9, Game Informer an 8, Destructoid a 7.5. It seems about on par for what you would expect from the Lego IP in regards to video games. Bandai Namco. That's not correct. I'm never going to get this correct, and I don't know how this happened. Someone needs to figure out why I started saying Bandai Namco in reverse. I'll never figure it out. Even if it's in front of me, I read it backwards. It's fucking wild. I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it happened. Regardless, they have reached out to American fantasy author Brandon Sanderson about a possible future collaboration. He revealed. Probably has a lot to do with the Kickstarter success that Sanderson recently had with like 36 million or whatever his Kickstarter was. Sanderson unboxed a package he had received from the game publisher during a live stream this week. The author received a large Elden Ring parcel, which included a sword, a cloak, and other merchandise based on the From Software game, along with a note from the company. He goes on to say they are interested in perhaps doing something together, is what that says, Sanderson said on stream. I am as well, actually. This is how I roll. I actually have a pitch for them in the back of my head, so I may have to send them my pitch and see what they think. Sanderson went on to say, I always have a pitch for everything, that's the thing. Like, if I were going to do a Soulsborne game, what would I do? You guys know what happened when I thought, I wonder what I would do if I ever wrote a Magic the Gathering story? I spent 4 years developing a Magic the Gathering story, so when Magic contacted me and said, hey, do you want to write a story? I could have said, yes, I already have one, and I will write it. And then I did. The same way I've been thinking, what would I do if a Soulsborne sort of game? Obviously, I don't get to decide that, right? But I have it in the back of my head, so maybe you guys will hear something from me. I have some ideas. I always have some ideas. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. They would probably love to work with Sanderson because it wouldn't take 30 years to finish a story that really is a 30-second ending. You know? Sanderson can knock that out in like an afternoon. I'd probably prefer that. Final news here of the day before we get to the game releases for the week. According to .esports and PC Gamer, this news is from last week, and we talked a little bit about it on Drop Frames. On Twitch, people started seeing lewd content, really nude content on their front pages. Lewd content's perfectly fine. Nude content, though, not so much. Around March 30th, the videos, which featured stuff you'd probably see on something like Pornhub, allegedly popped up in the recommended live channels we think you'll like category that appears under the main site or the site's main carousel. This was, of course, through the Boost This Stream feature, which is a feature that users can use on streams that they like to help push the content up in for the sake of discoverability and growth. It's real money that is basically paying for advertising. They reached out to Twitch for a comment, and the spokesperson told Kotaku the company is going back to the drawing board on how to improve the platform discoverability. The full quote, which we didn't have yesterday in Drop Frames, was, "We've decided to pause the boost train due to some safety considerations that came through the experiment. Our experiments help us learn and make even better tools for the community. We're even using the feedback from this experiment to inform how we approach future launches. We'll share additional updates with our community around new features to help improve discoverability as available. Sexually explicit content, including pornography, is not allowed on Twitch per our community guidelines." Wild. Absolutely wild. Let's head on over to JPedia to see the week's releases. You can do so yourself at any time. JPedia.net. We have a full list of all games released, all games that will be released and have been announced, as well as whatever is going on with our stream, all of our plans, all of our setups, all that stuff. Check it out, jpedia.net. This week, you hear that? There's actually stuff. I shouldn't be so facetious. We got Skywalker Saga coming out tomorrow. MLB The Show is launching on PS5, Xbox, Switch. That'll be out there. April 7th, The Abomination that is Chrono Cross The Radical Dreamers Edition. That comes out. Godfall's Ultimate Edition comes out the 7th. Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter on the 7th. Slipstream, House of the Dead Remake, all on the 7th. Big release next week. A little bit of a sneak peek. It's going to be that Final Fantasy XIV patch 6.1, as well as Anno Season 4, Part 1, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. We got some games up next week, so look forward to all of that. By the way, that Chrono Cross Dreamers Edition, Radical Dreamers Edition, I saw a promo for it today. It's really it says a lot about a game when the way that you promote the game is by referencing the review for the original Chrono Cross in your marketing and not the new edition. I'm excited to see those reviews this week. I'm sure they're going to be very exciting. That's going to do it for JPNN today. Let us know in the comment section what you thought, what we can improve on. We are always looking for feedback. And let us know what games you're playing, as we'd love to know. So get in that comment section, okay, chat? Make it happen. Get it busy. Like the video, subscribe if you want to. Bang the bell. Lick the like. And we'll see you Wednesday for more. Don't lick anything. That's bad. It's a bad idea.